Hello, internet fans. It's your old pal Rottin Roger DeMarco here from 3bproductionco.com. And you didn't think I forgot, did you? I'm still doing these top 5 films from the 80s. I've just been a little busy, but here we are, we're back, and it's time for my top 5 horror films from 1984. That's a good year, so let's get started, shall we? Coming in at number 5 is the Lloyd Kaufman classic, The Toxic Avenger. Here is your plot synopsis. Melvin is the janitor at a health club who gets bullied by all of these fuckheads, and they pull a prank on him, which causes him to fall into toxic waste and become New Jersey's first superhero. And it's awesome. This movie gets shit on by people who just don't understand the trauma brand. And this is the one that started them all, folks. You have gratuitous nudity, gratuitous violence, gratuitous one-liners, cars flipping, shit exploding, heads getting smashed. Super fun, hyper violent, the best Saturday morning you'll ever have, I promise. I don't know how much more I can push you in the direction of seeing The Toxic Avenger if you haven't already. It covers all of these bases of being absolutely gratuitous, which is why it made my list. And if you haven't seen it, you definitely need to see it because it's just bonkers. As Evil would say, this movie is bug nuts. Okay, coming in at number 4 is Douglas Cheek's Chud. I love this movie, despite the fact that it is a little slower than you would expect. Here is your plot synopsis for Chud. Daniel Stern is a homeless guy who starts noticing his homeless brethren are disappearing or dying. So he goes to the surface and asks the dad from Home Alone for help, and they go down and discover cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers are eating everybody. Yeah, big bulbous-headed cannibal monster men with flashlight eyeballs, and a cameo by John Goodman as a cop in a diner drinking coffee and eating donuts or whatever. It's awesome. This movie is a very big part of my childhood. It's a silly, fun monster movie that takes a really long time to get you to the monster action, and there really isn't actually a lot of monster action in this movie, but for some reason, I tend to hold this movie in very high regard. I really like this movie, so it had to make my list. There's a ton of stuff from 1984, but this movie always sticks out to me. Every time that it's on, I watch it. I tend to pull it off the shelf and throw it on. It's like an easy Sunday morning flick for me. I love this movie. So if you haven't seen Chud, check it out. Moving on to my number 3 pick, and that is Larry Stewart's The Initiation. This is another little horror film that I feel kind of slips under everybody's radar. A super fun movie with Clu Gallagher and Daphne Zuniga. And if the name Daphne Zuniga sticks out to you, that's because she was the princess in Spaceballs. She has a very unique style in the way that she acts. She can deliver kind of funny things, very deadpan. And this movie is just wild. It's an excuse to put people in a centralized location and off them. She wants to join the sorority, Delta Rho Chi. So for her initiation, let's break into your dad's shopping center, aka like a mall. It's a fucking mall. They break in, they're gonna spend the night. But on the same night that they do that, someone comes into the mall and decides to kill them all. Super rad slasher movie. It's just plain and simple slasher flick that I really like. So I had to put it on this list. My number 2 pick, of course, this is 1984. And you can't have a list about 1984 without this film, Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Not much I can say about this movie that you don't already know. The birth of Freddy Krueger. Robert Englund running around as a creepy child molester, pedophile man with a razor hand glove, chasing after Heather Langenkamp and all of her punk-ass friends, including Johnny Depp. Super fun movie, paved the way, created a franchise, awesome. You haven't seen Nightmare on Elm Street, what the hell are you doing? Get out from underneath your rock and see Nightmare on Elm Street. It's a game changer, for real. By 1984, the slasher movie had kind of run its paces, starting to get tired, no pun intended. Rather than just sleep on that formula, Wes Craven made a fucking icon in this movie. Nightmare on Elm Street had to make the list. But everybody knows what my franchise is. So my number 1 pick for 1984 is very close to being my favorite movie of all time. And that is Joseph Zito's Friday the 13th, Part 4. Again, what else can be said that you don't already know. Jason gets smacked in the face with an axe. They think he's dead. They take him to the morgue. He fucking sits up. He kills the dude from Police Academy and fucking goes after Corey Feldman and his creepy little mask collection, kills all the vacationing kids next door. You know, you have Crispin Glover, you have Judy Aronson, you have Tom Savini back doing the effects, baby. This movie is so fucking close to being perfect. I don't know, 1984 was an awesome year. Lots of movies. True, there's only one Friday the 13th Part 4, baby. This movie is so much fun. Actual likable characters in a slasher movie. Who would have thought that that's how you do it? You make these kids fun and relatable and not overly sexy, not overly geeky, just these very run-of-the-mill kids that you would expect to see rent a summer home.
And fucking kill them.
Man, do I love this movie. I can't recommend this movie enough. That's why it had to be my #1 horror film of 1984. So there you have it. That's my list, my top 5 horror films from 1984. Let me know in the comments your top 5 films from 1984. Let me know if there's something that I missed. Hopefully, I shed some new light on a couple of films, 1 or 2 films that maybe you haven't seen. But this year was stacked. It was very tough for me to whittle it down. But I suppose I should probably get going because, after all, there's a lot of movies out there. Somebody's got to watch them. So why not me? Right? It says that you're a dead fuck.